Hi there, and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Ben, and I'm going to try to teach you how to cook some easy and simple recipes without breaking the pocketbook. All right, so tonight we're going to start off making some French onion soup. First things first, we must open the wine. Have a drink. How's everybody doing tonight? Go ahead and go get your own glass of wine. Curl up on the couch with the dog.
Oh shit! Better drink it fast.
Guess so. Interesting. When you're cooking, you don't need a good bottle of wine, but you might want a good bottle of wine to drink while you're cooking. I have some thyme and I have some parsley. Parsley is going to be for garnish. We're just going to set that aside for now. We're just going to chop our thyme. This is some fresh stuff. A lot of people take it right off the stem. You really don't have to. The stem's going to cook down. It's not a very fibrous stem. Grab my little ramekin, throw that inside for now. All right, next we're going to cut our onions. I have about 6 pounds of onions here, but I think we're only going to use 4. Grabbed quite a few big ones. Just cut the ends off here. Cut them in half. Discard your ends. I've also got some garlic and the shallot that we're going to cut up and put in here too. The shallot you don't have to use, just adds a little bit more flavor, especially since it's onion soup. You really don't want to overkill with the onion. You can use a soup pot. You know, most people do use a pot for soup. But I'm going to use my Dutch oven here because it's my favorite. Take another swig of wine. Can't have enough of that. All right. We're just going to slice these bad boys up real quick. Try not to cut yourself. I've done this a few times, so. Ooh, man. I am crying right now. These are some really strong onions. All right, so I've got a shallot here. I'm going to use the whole thing. A lot of times you're just going to use a little bit. Since we're making French onion soup, this is going to give it a little bit more of that pungent onion flavor. Now, an easy way to do your onions or shallots, if you're going for a small dice or a medium dice, you don't want them sliced like this. You're going to take it, make sure it's flat, lay your knife blade against it, and just do however deep cuts you want. I would just want 1/4 inch cuts on that, and then we're going to go from the top. Use your fingers as a guide. Hold onto an onion with your fingernails. Your knife will slip right down there. That way you're not cutting your fingers. We're also going to chop up our garlic and put it in here. So for this, I want it to be more oniony, not garlic, even though I love garlic. We're going to just use 3 or 4 cloves here tonight. Nice one. Just take the back of your knife. Boom. Easy peel. There we go. I've seen many methods on how to peel garlic. There's the method of putting it into a glass bowl that has a lid and shake the hell out of it. Don't waste your time unless you're looking for a workout. Gonna chop this up real quick. I think it's time for another sip of wine. Cheers. We're ready to get this pot rolling. So, I'm gonna come over here and put my heat on just under high. I want it high enough to start sauteing the onions, but I don't want it to burn them. So I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil here. Get that nice and hot. Start sweating our onions out. So you're gonna cook your onions down from this bright white color down to a real translucent color. That way they're gonna be soft and you're not gonna have crunchy onions in your soup. I love to cook with butter, so guess what? We're going to add some butter to this. It's gonna give it a little richer flavor. About a tablespoon or 2 there. Mix with the olive oil. Set my spoon down. Let that start getting hot. One good key thing to do when you're cooking is always keep a clean workspace. If you can clean your dishes as you go, you're gonna have a better experience at the end of the night. You're gonna be able to enjoy whatever you've cooked and with less cleanup. A little bit more wine here. Looks like we're doing pretty good. Throw an onion in there to see if it's gonna sizzle. We're not ready yet. See your oil starting to heat up there, starting to bubble around that onion, so you're almost ready to throw everything in. You just want it all nice and hot before you do. Try to caramelize these onions up so they'll get a nice, sweet, rich flavor. We might add some sugar to make it just a little bit sweet. Always make sure that your pot's big enough for your onions. I think we're good. We're gonna throw our onions in here. Oh, perfect. Perfect sound. Can you hear that? Here, I'll lean in. Right, let's give this a quick stir. Get that butter and that oil just coating those onions. And at this time, I'm gonna throw in my thyme. We wanna get all the richness into the flavor of your onions so they'll mix together. It'll be really nice. Now, in the meantime, as this is cooking down, because you don't need to watch it all the time, we're gonna slice up this beautiful sourdough baguette, local Santa Cruz sourdough baguette. All right. I always cut my bread at an angle. It's called a bias cut. Gives it a little bit longer length. Also, fits in your nice little ramekins that we're gonna use here and put on the top of your soup. We're gonna lay these on our cookie sheet here. You can hear these onions starting to sizzle, so let's give them a nice little stir. I've got some butter here. We all need butter. Chop up some garlic here because we're gonna make some garlic butter. Throw this garlic in there. Grab a little bit of fresh parsley, give it some color. Don't need much, just a little here. Little chop. Add like 2 tablespoons of butter here. Ooh, this is soft butter. I left it out too long. Microwave till it's melted. About 30 seconds in my microwave. We'll see. Give these onions a good stir. I'm just gonna brush some garlic butter on these bad boys. Oh yeah. Kind of saturated. Get nice and brown and crispy. Try to get all the edges. You don't want them to burn. We're just gonna pop these in the broiler for a few minutes. Keep an eye on them. You don't want them to burn, like I said. Let's clean up this cutting board here. Oh, our onions are coming along really nice. I'm gonna throw in our garlic and our shallot now because we want them to become nice and translucent as well. We want the flavor of the onion, not the shallot and garlic to overpower that onion flavor. I'm gonna check on our bread here real quick. Since I got the broiler on high, it'll work pretty quick. They're going nicely. Throw that onion back in there. You tried to escape. All right, our onions are coming along really nicely. You can see we still have a couple white ones up here. So we want those to cook just a little bit longer before we add our red wine. Oh, but it smells and looks delicious. I actually think I want to add a little bit more thyme to this. I want to smell that aroma from the thyme, and I'm not getting as much as I'd like. If you don't want to use fresh herbs, you can always use dry herbs, but you're going to need to use double the amount of dry herbs. Put them right away, right into your butter or your oil mixture. You want to rehydrate them. A lot of dried herbs also are missing their essential oils that come with them. So I love to use fresh herbs. You don't have to use thyme. I like the flavor of thyme in French onion soup. It's kind of a mellow flavor to it. All right, we're just gonna scoop that up and throw that in the pot there. Take out that little stem. We don't want him in there. All right, give this a stir. Look at those onions. They're just like reduced really nicely. These guys are just about ready for us to add our red wine. Bread's done. Cooked them a little too long, but that doesn't matter. They're going into French onion soup topped with cheese. The crispier, the better, I like to say. I like a good crispy toast on top of my French onion. Oh yeah, those are still good. All right, these onions are just about ready. So I'm gonna add a cup and a half, 2 cups of red wine. But remember, you always wanna save some for yourself. Yeah. So that's about a cup and a half, 2 cups of red wine. We'll top myself off here. So we've added our red wine, and we're just gonna mix it in here, mix it all up. Oh, there's another skin. Let's get that guy out of there. All right, smells wonderful. Probably just like another half a cup. We're gonna let that boil down for a little bit. You wanna taste onions, you don't wanna taste wine. You want the wine to add to what you're cooking. So, you know, you wanna make sure that you cook the alcohol out of it and get the flavor of it. Good chance to have some wine. So our red wine is just about reduced to the point where we wanna put in our beef stock. You can use any kind of beef stock, bone broth, whatever you want. You can also make this a completely vegetarian dish and use a vegetarian stock as well. I like a beef broth for my French onion soup because it just adds a richer, deeper condensed flavor to it. All right, so that looks great. We're gonna pour in our stock now. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Add a little water here. Just gonna add 2 cups more of water. Kind of dilute the beef stock just a little bit. That's beautiful. That's what we want. See that nice, rich, deep color. Now we're just gonna let this sit. We wanna bring it to a boil here. If you want, you can just put a lid on it. That's what I'm gonna do and leave it kind of open just a little bit for about 20 minutes. So in the meantime, we can always do other stuff. So I have some Swiss cheese that we'll put on top, and I've got a really nice Gruyere. We're gonna grate up our Gruyere cheese here real quick. Gruyere's got a nice pungent flavor. A lot of people don't like stinkier cheeses. This isn't a stinky cheese, but it is more of a pungent cheese on the taste buds. It has a nice melting point, has a great flavor, and added with some Swiss, it's perfect. All right, so when it gets to that point, you either eat it or throw it away.
Eat it. You monster. You're awful.
I'm sorry, that's warm cheese. So I'm just gonna put this back on my cheese tray here. All right, let's check our soup again. I know a watched pot never boils, but we're cooking in cast iron here. We can see the bubbles starting to form. Oh yeah, that looks great. So in a few minutes, we'll taste this because I might want to salt it, put some sugar in it if it's not sweet enough. French onion soup typically has a sweetness to it, but that normally comes from the onions. Put a little bread in my system, I guess. It's actually pretty good. I haven't had the crow's nest baguette yet. Let's have some more wine. Let's just finish the bottle. Let's check our soup here real quick. Aroma smells absolutely wonderful. Pull these bad boys off of here. Yeah, and since we don't need the lids for tonight's cooking, everything's just about ready to assemble. We're gonna let this soup cook for about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how much you wanna reduce it. As you can see, we've got it up to a nice boil, and I'm just gonna let that boil for just a little bit. Oh, the smell is wonderful. Let's reduce the heat a little bit, bring it to more of a simmer than a boil. I'm gonna take some out of here in a minute and taste it. You always wanna taste your food as you're cooking. Taste it as many times as you want. You don't want it to be too salty, you don't want it to be too sweet. You want it to actually have flavor and everybody to like what you're cooking. Depending on what you like, you can add more salt, more pepper. My bone broth actually has a lot of pepper in it, so I will not be adding pepper to this dish tonight. But if you were gonna add pepper, I would probably put in about a tablespoon. I like fresh ground pepper. It just depends on what your tastes are like. All right, so we can see that our soup is boiling. Always have wine in hand. You stir with one hand, drink with the other. We'll give this a good stir. We can see that our onions are starting to loosen up a little bit more here and starting to fall apart a bit. That's what you want. You don't want your onions to be crunchy in onion soup. Oh, wow, that smells really, really good. Like, that bone broth was insane. Sure, we need to add a little bit of seasoning, probably some salt. I didn't salt my bone broth when I made it on purpose because I didn't want it to be salty. All right, let's take a taste of this. All right, so the onions are beautifully sweet. We're not going to add any sugar, but I am going to add some salt to this. I like to add like 4 or 5 really good ones. We're going to do probably like 10 here because it's just very oniony, but not the flavor that we want yet. So our broiler's still on. We're about to assemble this soup in just a minute. In the meantime, we should have some more wine. Give this another good stir here. I'd say once you get all your liquids in here, you'd want to cook your soup down for about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how the consistency of the soup you want. We added a lot of onions here. I don't want it just to be complete onions every time you take a bite, even though that's what French onion soup is. That's got a really, really good flavor. I am going to add just a little bit more salt. Get it a little bit more coarse here. Give it probably a good couple twists here. All in all, with these twists, I've probably added maybe 2 tablespoons of salt. That's probably an over-exaggeration, but just as a precaution, probably about 2 tablespoons. You don't want to add any more than that, especially for just about 5 quarts of stock or 5 quarts of soup here. We're going to give it another taste. That's just about perfect. It is a very nice, sweet onion soup. So we're going to just turn this off now. Let it kind of cool a little bit. Pull the boil off of it and start filling our ramekins. And we're going to put them in the oven and have a wonderful dinner here. All right, so we're just going to take this beautiful soup here. Fill up our ramekins, put a nice lot of onion in there and this nice broth. And we're gonna stick it on the sheet pan. I know the sheet pan's dirty, but why make more of a mess? You can use things more than once. Get these all nice and full here. All right, so we've got our soup here in our nice ramekins ready for consumption. We are going to put a nice big piece of bread. You can actually do 2 on these bad boys. All right, now we're gonna put some Gruyere on there. Just sprinkle a little bit on there. Oh, perfect. There we go, some Gruyere. Then we're gonna take our baby Swiss here and we're gonna lay a piece of each right all over the top. Beautiful, look at how nice those look. All right, and we're gonna pop these in the oven until the cheese melts, all right? So there we are. Just pop these in the oven here. It's gonna take just a few seconds because the broiler's on high. I'm just gonna melt that cheese, get it all nice and bubbly. All right, let's have another sip of wine here while that cheese melts. Some people just like to melt the cheese. I like the cheese to get a little bit, not burnt, but a little bubbly and crispy on the top. You want your cheese to be golden brown and melted over the top of the soup and the bread. We don't want to burn anything, so what we're gonna do is put it on a plate. I would suggest putting it on a doily so that it doesn't move off the plate. Either put it on a hot pad or put it on your placemats because it will leave a ring since it's been in the broiler and we don't want to ruin your dining room table. Give them these a little check. I can smell the Swiss cheese already. Oh, look at those. They're becoming beautiful. We're just gonna let these melt just a little bit more. Get a little bubbly and crispy on the top, and then we'll pull them out and dinner is served. All right, we're gonna pull these bad boys out of the oven. They're looking beautiful. Here we go. And the moment we've all been waiting for, beautiful French onion soup. And pop that bad boy on the plate. Add a little parsley for some garnish. Here's our French onion soup. Doesn't take that long. It's easy, it's in budget. This whole meal from start to finish cost about $25 to make. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night. Drink up.